Good morning, everybody. I hope that you are enjoying good health and waking up with fresh perspective today. I just wanted to share this dream interpretation. If you will, I woke up dreaming about a golden dragon, and in the dream, the golden dragon was battling with a bronze and like aqua tipped colored dragon. And at the end of the dream, both of the dragons, having gone at a really intense battle, just looked at each other and agreed to acquiesce to the other's flow, meaning that they agreed to give room or agreement to the other simply being in their spot. And neither one lost, but both remained victors, capable of commanding their own life experience and army of internal strength to move on and go into their different, domains, kingdoms, whatever you want to call them, their habitat. And when I woke up, I had the imagery of the golden dragon so strong in the front of my mind that I'm actually going to paint what I envisioned in the dream. And I might paint the other dragon, I don't know. I'm not sure yet. But I just felt, when I was picturing it, I felt this overwhelming need to accept the flow and be at peace with the flow. What the flow was, what that symbolizes is, open to interpretation. My perception is that it means just the personal habits and perspectives of other people, regardless of whether or not I agree with them, regardless of whether or not I find value in them and those beliefs in the same way that they do, but allowing people to be who and what they are and remaining to be in my own space and in my own lifestyle, and accepting that I am where I am and other people outside of me are where they are, and that there is a clear line of demarcation between choices and outcomes and choices and ripple effects, regardless of whether or not people want to acknowledge that. And it becomes less about what's right and what's wrong, but more about what is the currency that my choice is going to carry with me? What is it going to bring into my life in the future? And over the last few weeks, I have just come to terms with the messy part of life when you recognize that you are surrounded by people that don't live in a state of love for themselves and don't live in a state of dignity or respect, and so they will accept anything and everything and then complain that people don't respect them. But the people that they allow into their lives see that they don't respect themselves, and so they don't feel an onus to have any respect for them. And any help that they are given, it is not for their benefit, it's for the benefit of the person giving it to them, for whatever their onus is in giving the help. And when you transition into that state of not wanting to have fake and phony people around you, it removes, I'm going to say probably 95% of all relationships, all partnerships, all friendships, from you. And, people will begin to attack your character because they were doing that all alone. They thought they were doing it in secret and you weren't aware, but you likely knew, but you wanted to make sure that they understood the choice that they were making. And so you just kind of sat back and let them continue to say and do what they thought they were doing in secret, and they laughed about and like, oh, they don't know, when most likely you did know. And as everything has to unfold and break open in life, because there are seasons and there are cycles and ripple effects in the field of life, when it breaks open, then people want to cry and come back and say, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know. But then when you speak to them and you just let them know that you consciously chose to do that to me, so you did know. It wasn't a mistake. You weren't misled by the words of another. You chose to not see my value. You chose to not see my worth. You chose to be disrespectful to me and expect me to hide it. And I never did, but nobody wanted to hear what I had to say because I remained with you. And they maybe assumed that I knew everything you were doing, and I didn't, right? And so you have this cycle of codependency where people will attempt to drag you down and paint you as what they are, when the fact is you stayed for a reason. You learned what you needed to, but you also observed what you needed to see. And in hindsight, it's always 20/20. Sure, you could have left, but the reason that you stayed and you chose to stay was because ultimately you needed that lesson. You needed to learn about that aspect of yourself that you had never honestly dealt with. And it could have been trying to overcompensate for somebody else's lack of love and loyalty to you by being the good person and understanding that staying does not make you good. It doesn't make you bad either. It just makes you stuck, choosing to stay stuck in a prison that you allow to remain in full effect when you could freely free yourself from it by walking away and leaving. And regardless of if children are involved, most especially if children are involved in that scenario, you don't do the children any service by staying. You do them a great disservice by staying, because those psychological scars become currency in their life that develops into them going down that same pattern that you walked away from. And so you have to have the courage and you have to have the integrity within yourself to recognize that and accept that and understand that the sooner you can get away from things, the better it is. And that if you truly trust and believe in your capacity to overcome, an opportunity will present itself for you to leave. Whether that's through the example of your dead weight cutting themselves from your life, or such a huge betrayal taking place and unfolding that you have no other option but to walk away. Whatever the opportunity is, it will always present itself. And you have to recognize it when it does. And one of the ways that you recognize it is there's no other way to continue to walk in your life but to walk down a different path, because it shuts the door to the past. And as much as the past may want to come and open that door, they can't. And recently, in my own life, there was a door that was opened by me and shut by me and will remain shut to the past. I will not go back. And as I have been building and moving forward, I have had to just let people say the nasty, vile things that they say without any response, and let their words simply be sounds coming out of their mouths. Nothing more, nothing less. Because I don't stand before them on Judgment Day. But I know the one that they will stand before. And that's between him and them, not me. All that I can do for me is continue to move forward and build and believe in myself and trust in the vision that I have for my life, and know that opportunities that come my way will always be presented to me. And regardless of what path I take, what steps I make, everything will unfold the way that it's meant to. And what's meant for me is never going to pass me by or be snatched from me by somebody else, regardless of how they want to argue with God about my life or my ability to overcome and create and build for myself without any interference from anyone else. So I leave that with you this morning, and I hope that it helps you. I hope that it reminds you to get busy and get to work in your own life and not focus on what others are projecting towards you.